Hello, my name is Lydia, and I am a disabled queer artist who specializes in soap making and illustration. Today I'm going to let you peek behind the veil and see exactly what goes into the process of me making my monster soaps. But first I'm going to answer a few questions I've gotten over the years about soaping. So this is the question I get the most, but I don't really know what to tell you other than I just kind of absorbed it from the internet over many years, and I just played around with dangerous chemicals until I got something resembling soap. As anyone who knows me can tell you, I am a determined little who likes to learn new crafts. So the answer to this is a bit less chaotic. I actually started learning how to soap as a way to gain some bodily autonomy while I was experiencing some very horrible and long-lasting abuse. I had very little say in my life, and everything was decided for me. By learning how to soap, I actually took the first steps into caring more about my existence and hygiene and taking control back for myself. The soap I made was for me. I got to decide how it looked, how it smelled, and what ingredients went into it. It was something I could be proud of and have a little feeling of control when I was living in a house where I had almost no say in anything about my life. Also, soap is very fun. It's a science experiment pretty much, and I love science. It's also very satisfying to make something you can use in your daily life. I want you to look at me. Does anything about how I look give off the vibe that I'm interested in appealing to the middle-aged moms with the emotional depth of drywall shopping at the local craft fair? Also, where else are you going to find soap for monster f***ers? Not at your local chain store next to the Lavender Beauty Bar. Because they're cowards. Alright, let's boil soap down to its most basic parts. Lye crystals are needed to make genuine soap and are responsible for the chemical reaction that creates this new form. Lye is then added to a portion of the recipe made up of water. This mixture creates caustic lye water, which is then added to the bulk of the recipe, a mixture of fats and oils. Mixing lye water into fats creates emulsification, turning the ingredients into soap batter. This is where the saponification process starts. A lot can happen here, but I'll touch on that later. Batter is poured into a mold to rest for a bit. The molds I have create loaves, rather than singular soaps. While sitting in the mold, the chemical reaction causes heat, which can lead to gel phase. This is where the soap turns gelatinous for a period of time before solidifying. Gel isn't necessary to make soap, but it can cause the soap to become harder and colors to shift. After gel, the loaves are cut into single bars and cured for a minimum of 6 weeks before use. The saponification process finishes within a few days of making the soap, but the entire month is needed for the remaining lye in the soap to deactivate. Generally, the longer the cure, the gentler the soap. Now, I could go into how you need to be careful with percentages with every single ingredient and how they interact with each other, but you don't need me to melt your brain with nonsense hell math. Just know that a lot of math and knowledge of oils goes into each bar of soap I make. It's similar to baking in that things need to be pretty exact. I did nothing but experiment constantly for 4 years before I started offering soap to the public. I keep a reference of all my recipes in my work binder. All my soaps are recipes I've developed from scratch. I've had people tell me that they want to try my soap but have sensitive skin or can't stand strong fragrances, so I created bare bones with those people in mind. I start by mixing the lye water a day ahead of time. The day after, the fats are carefully weighed on a scale. This recipe calls for a carefully balanced mixture of coconut, olive, cocoa butter, and castor oil. Coconut milk is the star ingredient for this soap because it creates a really creamy lather. I try to add 1 to 3 star ingredients that change the behavior of the soap in every recipe. Some of the other star ingredients you'll find in my soaps include beer, honey, herbs and florals, various meals, cosmetic clay, and silk. After the fats and lye are heated up to a similar temperature to each other, I add the lye to the fat at around 100 degrees Fahrenheit and gently whisk the batter. So a lot can go wrong here if I'm not careful. Temperatures can cause the batter to not emulsify, and fragrances can make it thicken instantly, among other things. Thankfully, my skills, experience, and harsh testing keep this from happening too often. I'm leaving the main part of the batter its natural color, but coloring a portion black with charcoal. Charcoal is used a lot in my soaps to go along with that goth monstery vibe I embody. I do not use any synthetic ingredients to color my soaps, but instead prefer to rely on the more natural color of the batter, star ingredients like beer or clay, or mica powders. The black portion is poured into the main batter and stirred once to help promote a swirl. I'm only pouring 5 pounds of soap for this round, but I normally pour 15 pounds in one session. Here's a quick glance at one of my other soaps to show what that looks like. After pouring, before it starts to set up, I run a rod through the batter and finish off the design by decorating the top. After it's poured, I have to put the soap to bed so that it can enter gel phase. I use a heating pad on low and some towels to keep the heat in so that I can get a harder bar with richer color. Here it is halfway through gel phase. I have to check it often to make sure it doesn't go above 120 degrees. If it gets too hot, it could separate and not set up, or at worst, cause a minor explosion. I've had both happen before and it's not very fun to clean up. Unfortunately, this batch started getting a little too hot and is creating an effect affectionately called alien brain. It's fine, it's just a cosmetic issue. After it's solidified, I demold it and set up for cutting. I used to cut my soaps by hand, but now cut on this fancy artisan wire cutter. I even covered it with morning decals because of course I did. There's even little weight doggies on the side. Each recipe will have its own unique demolding and cutting time. All my soaps have to go through rigorous testing to find out when to cut them, as well as how they feel and how colorants react with the pH level of the batter. The ends of the loaf will be saved and cut into samples or saved for myself. Just to add a little bit more interest, I give all my soaps their own planchette stamps, then let them harden further for a day. After this rest, I clean them up by hand beveling the edges. I try to reduce waste wherever possible, so these scraps are always saved to recycle into Revenant soap bars. The bars are transported and I lay them on racks inside the dedicated curing closet. A fan below them is running 24/7 to help moisture evaporate out of the bars. They stay here for 3 months, shrinking slightly and getting better with age. While I wait on the soaps to cure, I print and hand cut my own labels on a recycled paper stock to have ready ahead of time. Once the 3-month mark is passed and the soap are ready, I take the soap out of the curing closet and start boxing up the bars. Just like the labels, the boxes I present my soap in are made from recycled stock. My labels have evolved over the years, but they've always had unique drawings for each recipe to help differentiate them. Finally, I store the box soaps on my merch shelf and take inventory before they get sent out to the showers of fellow oddfolk all over the United States. I only release my soap for sale twice a year, and I believe this glance into my process reveals why. A lot of time, scheduling, and precision goes into these creations, but the end result is always worth it. I hope this satisfies your curiosity. Thanks for listening.